Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewired to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewired to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I'm your host, Jessie Brown, and I am thrilled to be jumping on the microphone with you all for episode number 135. If you missed my last episode, 134, what if what you're avoiding is actually what you need most, I definitely encourage you to go check out that episode. For today's episode, we are going to continue kind of on that theme and talk about something that has been showing up in a lot of areas of my life. And whenever I notice synchronicities in the way of noticing that more than just myself am experiencing something, I almost naturally feel like I have to talk about it. And so what I want to talk about kind of goes with how I'm just feeling overall right now. I am in a place right now where I am transitioning, if you will, a lot of my life. I feel like I've rebirthed myself, for lack of better words, in a lot of areas of my life. And my work is at a new standard. My clients are at a new standard. Just the way that I'm showing up and holding myself accountable is at a new standard. It is in a very aligned standard for myself. But the thing is only I know that. Only I know what is aligned for me. Only you know what is aligned for you. But the thing is if we have people in our life that we allow their opinions and voices to be louder than our own internal voices, we are in trouble. The reason I'm so passionate about today's topic is because for so much of my life, I have chosen other people above self. Other people's needs, desires, wants, whatever. The queen of forgiving people. The queen of complying with what everybody else says just to keep the peace. And I'm at a place now where I am fed up. I'm pissed off. I've had enough. And I'm ready to hold my energetic ground. And I'm ready to choose me. Choosing me unapologetically. The goal of today's episode is for you guys listening to have the awareness of, are you actually choosing yourself? Because we can sometimes think that we're choosing ourselves, but in hindsight, we're not. What I mean by that is behind the scenes, you might have the ability to choose self, but as soon as somebody else comes into the room or has an opinion, you shift, you lessen yourself. And we see this all the time. And so recently, I had to kind of shield bump, if you will, one of my family members. And the fact that I'm even talking about this on my podcast, I hope just shines through of how much I am ready to just speak my truth. I did an episode 2 weeks ago about being ready to fully be honest. And I think I'm trying my best, but I think now that I've kind of found my voice, I'm tired of apologizing for other people's shitty behavior and lessening how that's affected me. Because I would not still be podcasting. I was in a contemplation state for my podcast about 2 weeks ago. And I was talking to my podcasting coach, Kevin, and he basically just reiterated, like, what if it's not that you're not supposed to podcast? What if it's just that what you're sharing right now isn't fully in alignment with you now, but it was in the beginning? And I couldn't have resonated with that more. And I'm recognizing that so much of what I've shared, I've tiptoed around the truth, the core truth. I've shared very surface level. How many of us out there don't choose us? We choose other people's needs first. Women are especially so guilty of this. We're all guilty of this, but women in particular are very, very good. And I don't know if it's just like motherly instincts within us to put others first. But I am seeing this as a pattern everywhere, especially coaching clients one-on-one. The really preface of today's episode is the importance of choosing you. And I don't mean choosing you just from time to time. I mean, are you ready to actually choose you? That does not mean that we are not respectful, we're not kind, we don't have people in our life, we don't love on them, we're not a part of society, we're not, that's not what it means. We're not closing ourselves off in a closet. What I mean by this is, are you choosing you and your needs, your desires, your goals unapologetically without feeling like you need to lessen that for other people? As always, I preface, this is going to be different depending on your goals, depending on your desires, depending on your trajectory, what you are trying to accomplish with your life. However, having been someone that has constantly just felt downplayed, inadequate, behind, I recognize that because so many times in my life that I have felt that way, it's because when somebody tried to push me down, I allowed them. And in fact, I helped them by pushing myself down as well. So not only was I externally being mistreated, my response was to go within and to make it worse. And I noticed this a lot recently with my goals. And I started this whole spiel with talking about a family member. I basically had a family member reach out and say, when are you going to slow down? When are you going to relax? When are you going to take time for you? And I hear this, you guys, all the time, and it drives me insane. Here's why it drives me insane. If people took the opportunity, I'm going to close my window because there's cars going like crazy outside. If folks took the opportunity to truly get to know what my goals were, what I'm playing for, that comment would not be said. The thing is we often say comments as a projection of our own needs and desires. I know for a fact that this family member had good intentions, but without realizing that everything that I'm doing right now, I am doing because it brings me joy. It brings me fulfillment. I'm playing a bigger game than just this next month. That's gonna take dedication. I'm not just trying to live paycheck to paycheck, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of this. This is exactly what I'm saying. What I want for my life is what I want, and I need to honor that. I am not here, really, to serve anybody else's mission, journey, or reason for being here. You are responsible for your reason to be here. What brings you joy? Don't apologize for that. What you desire? Don't apologize for that. Stop allowing external people to tear you down, to hold you back, to project onto you. I keep my circle very small for this exact reason, because the projection that I would get from other people, opinions that don't land if you're not doing what I'm doing. It's hard to tell someone how to podcast, how to coach, how to live my life if you are not a podcaster or a coach. This is really the energetic way I want to be and show up in my podcast from now on, is fully in my truth unapologetically. I am ready to just choose me, choose what is best for me. Now, easier said than done, right? But we also need to hold the awareness for self of, if we're doing this to other people, are you also projecting what you want out of life onto other people? Do you have false expectations for your partner, for your friends, for your work? We are creatures of projection because all we know is our reality. And so it makes sense. However, sometimes we need to take a step back, lower our ego, put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and say, did they ask for this feedback? Am I projecting onto them because one of my needs or desires aren't being met? The focal point of this episode, the importance of choosing you. I want you to think of the last time that you were around somebody and you felt like you couldn't be your true, unique self. We all know intuitively that we are different around different people. We all do this. It's a part of life, and I get that there's a time and a place to show up differently. How I show up on my podcast versus how I'm going to show up at work, it's going to be a little bit different, but me at the core needs to stay the same. My truth needs to stay the same. Energetically, I need to stay the same. First of all, it's exhausting. I've been playing that game all my life, depending who I'm around, allowing my nervous system to assess. Now that I've just begun to show up in the last 2 weeks unapologetically, you guys, I cannot explain to you how much lighter I feel. I was able to tell that family member, thank you so much for sharing this. However, I hope you know that I am the most fulfilled I've ever been in my life. I hope you know that everything that I'm doing that might seem like I'm not taking time for myself is actually me investing in my future, which brings me a tremendous amount of joy. I know exactly what it's like to not know where to turn, to feel alone, helpless, and stuck. My goal as a coach is to help clients from a trauma-informed perspective see your worth and develop self-belief so you may chase your dreams and trust your intuition to live the most aligned, fulfilling life possible. If you're looking to elevate your life to the next level but aren't sure where to start, I would absolutely love to connect. If you're feeling pulled or curious, please use the link in the show notes below to book your free call. I look forward to connecting and supporting you on your own unique journey. We try to give other people advice from our experiences, which I'm telling you doesn't land. It doesn't land. And when we're on the other side of that, we're so easy to just comply and agree and contemplate. Be very wary of who you allow to take advice from, of who you allow to dim your light, of who you allow to allow you to step away from your goals. Nobody on the face of this earth is worth you losing touch with yourself. I was at the dentist today, and me and my dentist had a phenomenal conversation. And she was asking me, what is going on with society? You know, we just had this conversation of like, energetically, if we look at our world, we're pretty fucked up right now. Like, we're all hurting. We all feel behind. Our mental health is off the walls. We're struggling. And yet, we wonder why. And I can't help but think that, yes, there's so many reasons, but a huge part of it is we've lost touch with ourselves. None of us know who we are. We are these fake beings trying to put on these personas, these shows, these displays to be these things, not for self, for other people. Why is it you think we spend so much time looking in the mirror before we leave? If it was just us in our house, we wouldn't do that. We do it because we care about what other people are going to say and think about us. Everything that we do and don't do, we do because of how we're going to be viewed. I refuse to be argued on that. Even right now, this podcast, a part of my brain is going, you need to be careful what you say. This could be a representation of you. But I would rather my representation of me be giving you guys permission to be more yourself than to sit here and to be a coward and to lie and pretend like I have it all figured out when I don't. None of us do. We're all trying to figure it out. Some of us more than others. But the thing is we're not choosing ourselves. So many of us don't actually know our values. We don't know our passions. We don't know what we care about in life. We've lost such sight and touch with it. And the thing is we cope with alcohol, we cope with drugs, we cope with sleeping, we cope with food, we cope with gossiping. We cope with staying in jobs that don't fulfill us, and we wonder why we're sick. We wonder why we're tired all the time. We wonder why our mental health is crap. We wonder and we contemplate, but we don't look within. This topic gets me fired up because I am trying my best every single day to turn within. I have heard more so lately than ever in my life, you've changed, but in a good way. You've lost weight. You're radiating differently. Do you know what it is? I stopped apologizing for choosing me. I stopped viewing that as selfish and instead viewing it as selfless. Because now that I'm choosing me, I'm able to show up as a kinder human. I'm able to treat others with so much more love and respect and compassion and kindness and empathy. I'm now able to come on here, share this message with you, and hopefully inspire even one of you to turn within. I'm able to show up differently as a coach to help people show up differently for self. I would not be able to do any of this stuff that I'm doing if I did not first start with me. Yet we're all out here looking outwards for answers, looking outwards for validation, looking outwards to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. In fact, until we get to a point where we can just admit that COVID sucked, finances suck right now, the world is expensive, everything seems like it's negative all the time. But things are only as negative as they are when you bring your awareness to them. When you focus on self, in growing and healing and evolving in your passions, and you just come back to earth for a bit, life isn't so negative. All those things are always going to exist. External factors are always going to exist and they are always going to be negative. Why is it that right now we are so hyper-focused on them? If you're watching video, you can see that I'm holding up my phone. It is too easy to just go online, fuel our brains, and allow that to dictate our well-being. I know today's episode is a little bit more aggressive, but this has been my truth that I've been holding in for a very long time. And this week, having that conversation with my family member lit a fire under my ass. Because I'm like, you know what? I'm not serving anybody by complying. Because old Jessie in that instance would have said, yeah, you're right. And reverted out of what my truth is. Do you know what happens when we don't speak our truth? Energetically, we are suppressing. We are blocking good things from coming into our life. Not speaking your truth is so detrimental, I can't even put it into words. That would have to be an episode in and of itself. I talked about it a little bit a couple months ago or weeks ago when I said, are you speaking your truth? So many of us suppress and suppress and suppress and suppress and suppress and suppress. And the thing is we get so good at it that we actually kind of forget how to speak our truth. And so to leave you guys today, I want you to just pose yourself that question. Are you choosing you? And I don't mean, are you taking a bubble bath on Sunday and taking 15 minutes for self-care? I mean, take yourself out of your body for a second and look at your life from an outside lens. Are you choosing you? Do you even know yourself? Do you even know what you care about? And if I ask you the question, what are you passionate about, and you don't have an answer, you are not choosing you. You are coping. You are comfortable. You are just trying to get by. Which again, my trauma-informed brain comes in, and obviously it has a different approach. We have different parts of us, right? This part of me is less trauma-informed than other parts of me, and it has a time and a place. And I understand that things can happen that block us, but I also recognize that me at my deepest sorrows and dealing with mental illness, the biggest thing that was frigging me was I didn't know who I was. how can we show up appropriately and aligned and fulfilled if we don't even know what our desires are? We don't even know what we want out of life. We try to fill voids like other people do, hoping it works for us. But who's to say they're not doing the exact same thing? None of us are actually right unless it comes from self first. Think of the person that you could show up as if you chose yourself unapologetically. Are you probably going to piss some people off? Absolutely. Until they choose themselves, and then they'll understand. I have met people in the last month that I feel so much more aligned with than people I've known my whole life. And I know the reason for that is because we are energetically on the same vibration. You will know when you meet people that are at the same vibe as you. You don't have to tiptoe around who you are. You don't have to apologize for who you are. You can just be yourself. Those are the people that you need to be around. But be careful, because it's really hard when we're not in tune and we think we are, and we get around people, we fake it. And so we think we're fulfilled, we think we're aligned, we're not. 0 to 10, how well do you know yourself? 0 to 10, how much healing have you done? Because I don't care if your childhood seemed perfect. We all still went through things. We all encountered biases. We all encountered experiences that shape who we are. We all have to heal. How well do you know yourself? How well have you healed? And are you okay with feeling the way you're feeling? Seems like every single person I talk to is on the verge of giving up. I do think we are going to have an increased rate, more substantial than we already do, of suicide. That is my intuitive, strong feeling that I get, and I felt pulled to say. And the reason for that is because I think a lot of us are ready to give up. I understand what it can be like to get to that place. I understand what it's like to just feel stuck and like there is no hope. But if your heart is beating, and your lungs are pumping you air, and your brain is working, you are still here, you are still worthy, you are deserving. It does not matter what happened in your past. It does not matter what you have done in your past, what has been done to you in your past. And I don't mean it doesn't matter. I mean, it does not dictate your future. But it will continue to dictate our future as long as we allow it to. That's the thing. If you keep reiterating the same story to yourself that you've told yourself your whole life, that will stay your narrative. That will stay your truth. So you lovely soul listening, I want you to know the importance of choosing you. Does not make you selfish. Does not make you arrogant. Makes you one hell of a person. Imagine if we all chose us and then chose to pour into that, and then we could mirror that outwards. Healing internally and then externally. We're doing it in reverse. Clearly it's not working. Look how many of us are depressed. Look how many of us are anxious beings walking around, overwhelmed. You know, we need to get back to center. We need to get back to our hearts. We need to get back to our bodies. And if that is an unsafe place to be, I encourage you to reach out. I would love to book a session with you. See how I can support you with this. One of my favorite things in the whole wide world to coach folks on is how your past is blocking you. We might feel like we're trying, but we're taking one step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We feel like we just are playing this constant catch up. That's because you're stuck in the past, and so it's holding you back. We cannot move forward and persevere forward if our past is an anchor. I know what it's like to carry that anchor, and it is heavy, and it's exhausting, and it's overwhelming. I want to help you put that anchor down, even for a little bit, to see what it feels like. Sometimes we have to pick it back up and learn from it again, feel how heavy it is again, and then we get to put it back down. If you're ready to put down that anchor, and you're ready to change your life, and you're just sick of living the same cycle, I would love to connect with you. So, an intense episode today, nonetheless, but this is just where we're at. It is not serving anybody by keeping it surface level. It is not serving anybody to not speak my full truth. It's not serving anybody to not be transparent. It's going to be up to somebody to take that lead. And I hope that by me taking the lead, it inspires somebody else to take the lead, which inspires somebody else to take the lead, and then eventually we just have this group of leaders inspiring people. I do truly believe and hold so much hope in the future of our society, but it starts with self. It starts with turning within, it starts with healing, and it starts with choosing you. So thank you guys so much. I love you all so incredibly much, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of you, and I hope you know how not alone you are. In anything that you're feeling and anything that surfaced today, I guarantee you that's been a thought in my brain. I guarantee you it's something I've experienced before, and so I want you to know you're not alone, and I'm here for you each and every step of the way. So I look forward to chatting with you all on Thursday. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.